Well, listeners, we know over the last few years you have fallen in love with the music of Crypt Crawler. We've had the band on the phone a number of times to chat about singles and about albums that they've released, and they've got a brand new album out now called The Immortal Realm, and we thought, what better way to find out a little bit more about this amazing brand new album, but to actually get Marco on the phone to chat all about it. So welcome to the program, mate.
Thank you so much, Dave. Really appreciate you having me.
No worries. Now, mate, like I said, this album, when I took a listen to it, the first thing that hit me with this album is it's bigger and better than anything you guys have done before. How do you guys feel about this brand new album?
Oh, exactly what you said. I definitely feel that way about this album. Like, I know every band usually says it when they release a new album, but this is definitely our best album. Um, the response has been amazing from it. The streams, the purchases, like definitely the biggest reception that we've received to an album upon release.
So, mate, tell us a little bit. What was it like in the band? What kind of things were you guys talking about when you first sat down to work on this album?
I think this album was definitely more of a collaborative record. In the past, we'd usually written quite separately from each other. So this album here was one where we really got into the room together. We had this idea to sort of, we kind of not exactly learn from mistakes, but learn from past experience is what I'd like to say, from our previous records and what we could have done better. And I think we just took the best parts of To the Grave, the best parts of Future Usurper, and some of the catchiness of the EP, Blood Sustenance, and we just wanted to write the best 8 tracks that we could write. We decided that we wanted to limit the runtime, going from 46 minutes on Future Usurper to 33 minutes on this one here, and just write the best songs possible for the album. I think we wrote about 11 or 12 songs for this album, and then we just cut it back to the best 8. And we just wanted to deliver the best 8 songs and the biggest punch to the face that we could provide, really.
And what kind of things were inspiring you guys as well during the writing process? Was it just the things that were going on personally for you all? What was going on in the world? What kind of things were inspiring you?
I think we definitely wanted to bring in more influences from what we were all collectively listening to, and that also comes down to being collaborative and everyone's ideas going into this record. So rather than just being, say, 2 people sitting down in front of a computer like it used to be, having the whole band open to their ideas and their influences and what everyone was listening to at the time, definitely helped to formulate what we were doing together. I know we wanted to incorporate more groove into this album, a bit more melody into this album, and I feel like we've achieved that while still retaining the core death metal sound that we have. In terms of, like, say, inspirations and influences lyrically, I guess a lot of the album was influenced by a lot of horror movies and Lovecraftian stories, and along those sort of vibes for lyric ideas, I guess. But yeah, pretty much just collectively taking all of our influences and putting together really helped elevate this record for sure.
Okay, so as a huge horror movie fan, I've got to ask now, what kind of films were you watching at that time that was inspiring you?
Hellraiser was definitely a big one. From Beyond, Reanimator, reading some of Lovecraft's stories such as From Beyond, The Color Out of Space, a whole bunch of things like that. Having, I guess, the movie Martyrs imprinted into my head from how visceral that film is. That definitely also influenced the creation of this one here. There are some personal anecdotes that I have incorporated into this album in terms of, like, experience from my own life that I've just completely metaphorically submerged into these horror drenched lyrics. But yeah, it's pretty much all those sort of film influences that really take the predominant narrative and inspiration for the lyrics for this one here.
Definitely. So we've heard with Future Usurper that you guys tackled a bit of a new sound with more kind of intricate arrangements and things like that. You mentioned before with this album that you wanted to bring a little bit more melody in there without losing that death metal basis. Tell us a little bit about that. What kind of things did you guys want to do with your sound this time around, and do you think that you achieved that with what you've delivered?
I think we want to definitely increase the harmonies on the album, incorporating some occasional synths behind some of the actual music. So rather than it just being something that's tacked on to the end of a song, you'll notice on a few tracks, such as like Mace to Insanity, the intro to Gateway of Souls, which also blends in with some guitars. There's those sort of layerings in the background of synth melodies. Things like High Society's got this really cool progressive section in the middle of the song, which sort of flips the song a little bit. Same as Forced Metamorphosis, where they just incorporate those melodic aspects and vibes to the song along with the progressive arrangements. Even if being influenced a lot by 70s and 80s heavy metal, and incorporating those sort of sounds into the solos, into the leads. All of that has just been combined into this amalgamation that we call the Immortal Realm.
Now, you've been able to have support slots with bands like Obituary, Gatecreeper. What has being around bands like that kind of taught you guys as a band as well? Have you learnt from some of those slots, and what are some of the things that you've learnt being around bands like that?
Yeah, definitely. To see some of their professionalism and just the way they go about tackling, touring, as well as how they feel coming straight off a flight and then coming to Perth, which is probably the longest flight for them around Australia. That's definitely been a big influence on us and how to portray ourselves professionally. Talking to the bands, chatting with them, and even just getting to know some of those guys, like the way that they have humbled us in a sense, with being able to chat to them after the gig per se on social media and whatnot has been an awesome experience. Even playing Hammersonic over in Indonesia and being around the caliber of bands on that lineup, and just realizing how these guys just how they have fun and everything like that backstage and all that sort of thing, man. It all just goes straight into how we I guess see ourselves and how we behave as well on tour and whatnot. It's just really great to see all those inspirations and those people that we look up to acting in a certain way.
That was actually my very next question. I was so jealous of the photos that you guys were posting from Hammersonic. What was that experience like? It's a festival that I guess not a lot of people talk about, but they should, because it's the biggest heavy metal festival in Southeast Asia. What was that like being part of that, and how did you find the metal scene in Southeast Asia?
That was an incredible experience, man. We only got the call, say, 3 weeks before playing the show, so that was even more mind blowing to us. Just completely out of the blue when that came through. Being on that festival with the amount of amazing bands that are on that lineup was just mind-blowing to us. It was incredibly hot. Jakarta was really humid at the time. I remember nearly feeling like I was going to pass out on stage until I grabbed a bottle of water and just threw it all over my head to keep going. Jumping off stage, quickly drying off, and then running off to see Suffocation side of stage was an incredible experience. And just being around that atmosphere, like the crowd as well, you're just walking through the crowd and all these fans are coming up to you and asking for photos and saying how much they loved your set. It was just a completely new experience for us, and we absolutely loved it and wouldn't change a thing for the world.
Now, you've got some very big shows coming up as well. Of course, you're leaving to come across and play in Sydney and Melbourne this weekend. You've also got Electric Eye Heavy Fest as well, which is just one of those festivals that makes me want to jump on a plane and head to Perth to go and check that one out. But you're also going to be touring with Nile as well. How do you feel about these shows that's coming up, and are you excited to get out there and do some shows now that the album is out?
Definitely. I think even just checking out our Spotify streams and seeing where the listeners are coming from and seeing how many people in Sydney and Melbourne are listening to our songs, how many people in Adelaide and Brisbane and whatnot, it's awesome to see that number rise, and hopefully that comes across when we make our way over there and we see the new fans coming to our shows. we cannot wait for that sort of interaction with our fans and being able to play to new people every time we make our way over. So that's going to be very exciting. Especially Electric Eye Heavy Fest, being our WA hometown show, and seeing Psychropty come over for that as well is going to be incredible as well. But playing with Nile is definitely a big highlight that we can't wait for. Their new album is incredible, and I can't wait just as a fan to be able to see them and see them play live, especially those new songs. So yeah, all of that is very exciting. We cannot wait to get out on the road and tour for this new album.
Definitely. We had Niall on the show a couple of weeks ago, and they are so excited about this tour. I think this is going to be one of the best tours of the year, and congratulations to you guys for being part of it.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
So, mate, I guess to finish off, what would you like to say to people out there who are about to sit down and listen to the brand new album? And also, what would you like to say to people who over the next few weeks are likely to see you guys playing live as well?
I just want to say thank you so much to every single person who's even thinking about checking out the new album, who has checked out the new album, or is going to be eventually checking out the new album. And if you don't like it, that's completely understandable too. But if you do love it, please come down to our shows. We can't wait to see you. Thank you so much to every single person that's pre-ordered a copy, continues to purchase copies today. We cannot wait to bring it out on the road and play to you all. And just, massive thank you, and it really means the world to us, all of your support.